Morning guys, it's a fantastic winter's morning. I'm out on the Essex coast on basically Essex salt marshes, and it's a really lovely wild location, and I've got fantastic light. We've got really warm directional sunlight, and I've got a hedgerow this side and then salt marshes that side, and the plan is really to look for birds of prey, but also to photograph anything that I sort of notice, really, to be honest. And I'm going to walk up along this pathway here, this sort of seawall with the brambles on this side, and I've already spotted loads of small birds, and I've got a few shots of I think a reed bunting, although I'm not sure, I have to check. I've got pictures of a robin, and I know they're common birds, but they look lovely, and this light at the moment is stunning. So I've got a lovely catch light, and the robin looks really nice. So at the moment I've already got off to a good start, and ideally I'd like to look for Marsh Harriers and maybe Kestrels, and then if the light stays like this all day, then this evening hopefully I might spot, or I'm certainly going to look for short-eared owls, but they're a lot more scarce at the moment. So my plan is to walk right along this seawall. There's all different mixed habitat. We've got farmland that side, we've got these hedgerows, we've got salt marshes. I saw a little egret over that side. I think I've got a few pictures of that little egret, although I've photographed them many times in the past. So yeah, the light is stunning. It's a really wild area this, and there's not many people around, the odd dog walker, so it's really peaceful as well. I've got my 200 to 500mm zoom lens because I'm doing a lot of walking. So this is my carry round lens, and you may well have seen on a previous vlog I tested this out with my 1.4 converter, and it worked really well. So I'm using that today as well, at least for the moment, to give me a bit more reach while the light's nice. Now I'm on ISO 560, and the reason for that is the only thing with the 1.4 converter, it takes my maximum 5.6 lens and turns it into an f8 lens, so I've got a slightly higher ISO to compensate for that sort of loss of light. I'm on a 1600th of a second, so that's easily fast enough to hand hold this lens and you know, make sure any movement of the bird is sharp, and I've got the image stabilisation on, so it's all good. As I say, I've got a few shots of small birds in the bag, and that's where that converter really helps to give me a bit more reach. And then I'm going to wander around and, as I say, spend the day just looking and seeing what I can find to photograph. And ideally it'd be great if I can get some birds of prey as well, and I hope the light stays like this, because the light is fantastic. And the beauty of shooting in the winter is the sun stays low in the sky all day, so you've got good quality light all day. You know, you haven't just got that early morning bit of light or that late afternoon bit of light, you've got good light all day. So I'm so looking forward to the rest of the day. I'm virtually on my own out here, which is fantastic, and I'll see what wildlife turns up. So yeah, I'll speak to you soon, guys. Here we have a male reed bunting, and you can tell it's a male because it's got a black cap or a black head, and the female has a brown head. They're quite a small bird, about the same size as a sparrow, and as the name suggests, they live in and around reed beds. So by the sides of rivers you'll find reed buntings, in marshy areas, but recently, or reasonably recently, they've also moved onto farmland, so you might see them down the sides of ditches and feeding on sort of farmland seeds and stuff like that. When it comes to food, their main type of food is seeds, so they'll take seeds from all sorts of plants, but they will also eat insects as well, particularly in the spring and summer, caterpillars, and they'll go for spiders as well. And then when they've got young to feed, they normally feed the young on insects. So what we'll do now is the next picture up here is the female reed bunting, and as you can see they're about the same size but completely different plumage. And as you can see, she's mainly brown. There's no black cap or black head, but there is a little splash of colour around the eyes there. And as I say, the female's around about the same size as the male, about the size of a sparrow. And in April, springtime, they'll start nesting, and the reed buntings normally make a nest out of grass and moss, and it's either in the reeds but sometimes quite low to the ground, and the female will lay around about 4 or 5 eggs, and she'll incubate those eggs for 12 to 14 days. And then once the young are hatched, the parents will feed the chicks insects, and again about 10 or 12 days later those chicks will fledge. Now the population in the UK has been declining, although that population decline has stabilised, but since the 1970s we've lost about 50% of our reed buntings. But as I say, the population has stabilised, and we've got about 200,000 territories in the UK. So they are quite a common bird, but not as common as they once were. But they're cracking little birds, and as you can see, you know, I had fantastic light here, and you've got those little catch light in the eye. There's it was quite a dewy, misty morning, so there's a little bit of water on the sort of the branches that the birds are standing on. So it's a really good start to the day. I'm still hoping to find my Kestrels, and you know, I don't want to give too much of a spoiler alert, but I do find the Kestrels a little bit later on in the day. So I just climbed up onto the sea wall, and I looked up and I saw a mini flock of Widgeon come flying past, and it was a great thing to see over the Essex salt marshes. Now Widgeon are a medium-sized duck, and we have between 300 and 500 pairs that breed and live in the UK all year round. But during the winter we get over 400,000 Widgeon come in. They migrate in from Europe, so you know, it's one of those great experiences. They come to the UK because we have quite mild winters, and there's plenty of food for them to eat because they're vegetarians and they eat vegetation, obviously, so it'll be pondweed and grasses, and particularly eelgrass, which is a high protein grass. And yeah, they're fantastic birds to watch, so it's something I always look out for when I'm on the Essex salt marshes. After spotting the Widgeon, I came across a couple of Redshanks, and they're a medium-sized wader, and you'll see them in coastal estuaries normally because they feed in the wet mud. So you're going to normally spot them when the tide is sort of out and the mud's uncovered, because they feed on things like marine snails, crustaceans, ragworms, cockles, all that sort of stuff, shellfish if they can get hold of it, even small fish. And shrimps. So they'll be probing in the mud with that long bill, and they've got an orange bill with a slightly darker tip and these really orange feet. And we've got quite a big population in the UK, between 30 and probably 45,000 pairs. But again, their numbers have, you know, have gone down over recent years. And if you have a really particularly cold winter, then that will, you know, increase the mortality of these birds. But on the whole, though, they're quite an easy bird to spot, and generally, if I'm out sort of on a tidal estuary, I'll see at least a couple of Redshanks. Hi guys, so yeah, it's been pretty good actually. I've got about 1 hour of light left now, but it's been a really good day. I've got quite a few pictures of small birds, so I think I've got breed buntings and a few other small birds. I've got some waders, I've got a widgeon, so that's a type of duck. I've got a couple of shots of widgeon, I've got some redshank and a few other waders, maybe a little egret. But the actual icing on the cake is I've got a kestrel, so just over, it was hovering just quite close to that sea wall over there. So I've got a kestrel in good light hovering, so it's the icing on the cake. So I've got a bird of prey. I've seen a Marsh Harrier, but it was so far away that it was just too far away to photograph. So maybe I've got an hour left, so you know, who knows, there's a Marsh Harrier around, and I would love to see a shorted owl, but I think that's very unlikely. But you know, I've had a really nice photography walk today. I've got some pretty nice pictures. I mean, you know, nothing sort of world shattering, but I've got some lovely pictures of a kestrel hovering, which is absolutely the icing on the cake. I wanted to get some birds of prey today, and I've got a kestrel, so that's fantastic. As I say, I've got some small birds, I think reed buntings, maybe a stone chat. I've got a picture of a stone chat, don't know if it'll be good enough to show. And as I say, I've got a few waders as well, and a couple of ducks, so all good. All the good pictures I shall put on the end of this vlog, and yeah, that's about it. I'm going to head back now and have a cup of tea, a quick 15 minutes break, because I've been lugging my stuff around for quite a few hours now, and then that gives me probably about half an hour, 45 minutes of light. And you know, if I get anything else, that'll be great, but if not, you know, I think it's been a pretty good day today, to be honest. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the stills afterwards, and yeah, if you've got any questions about wildlife photography, please drop them in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, if you can give it a thumbs up, a like, that would be fantastic. Always helps my channel. And yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, if you can consider subscribing, that would be fantastic. It's it's great to have as many people along on this photography journey of mine as possible, and I really do appreciate the comments and the likes, and it's great, you know, to slowly build the channel up and hopefully build a bit of a photography community. So thanks a lot guys for watching and listening, and I'll speak to you on the next video. I finally got to see my bird of prey. I love kestrels, they're fantastic birds of prey. They're quite small, about 35 centimetres or so long, and you'll generally see them hovering. When they're hunting, they hover, and it's like effortless, isn't it? They'll just hover in the air and looking for that sort of that small mammal, and they'll feed on voles and mice and things like that. And then normally you'll see them hunting over rough grassland, and if you see a bird hovering, it's generally it is a kestrel, and as I say, they're fantastic birds. The males have got a slightly lighter coloured head, so they've got a grey sort of bluey head, whereas the females are all brown. In the UK, we've got a reasonably good population. We've got around about 36,000 pairs, but there have been declines. Although where I live, you know, there seems to be loads of kestrels around, so I'm more likely to see a kestrel than any other bird of prey, to be honest. So it was great to finally get my bird of prey after seeing so much other wildlife. It was fantastic. Wow, that's I don't know what they are. There's some sort of geese. I think they're Brent geese, but you know, you get that perfect V shape as they're flying through. And there's another one. There's geese all over the place. It's another V shape. I love that. I'm making to zoom right out to 200 mil. Fantastic. That's one of the sights of East Anglia, really, seeing that sort of V-shaped formation of geese in the skies in the winter. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. I'd had a really great day's wildlife photography, seen so much wildlife, and I got back to the car at the end of the day, tailgate up, just having a cup of tea and a square of chocolate, and it was one more wildlife experience, and it was fantastic. It was a really nice sunset, and this flock of, I'm not sure whether they were geese or cormorants, to be honest, but anyway, let's say they're geese. This flock of geese come flying across in a V shape that literally filled up the whole of the sky, and I quickly grabbed my camera and got a couple of shots. So it was just such a nice way to round off the day. I've got lots of small birds photographed. I've got wading birds, I've got ducks, and I've got a bird of prey. So all in all, what a fantastic day's photography. This has been quite a long vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have stayed with me for this amount of time, thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you on my next video. Bye for now, guys.